One still trying to open it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're live. Good morning, everyone. Saturday morning live code session with the XTechnology, me and Andrew, as usual.
Hey, hello everybody.
Hey, microservices, yay! NestJS.
Microservices all the year. Stay tuned.
Anything interesting you have learned this week, Andrew?
Yeah, really a lot. To move on this topic, I have to basically figure out the test system inside the Nest framework, which was a bit not really seems like a thing I used to. I used to do before with other stuff, but yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, any side technologies, learnings or whatsoever?
Side technologies.
Yeah, I mean not maybe regarding the stuff that we are doing, but anything else that.
Well, yeah, I've been reading about new Go language 1.18.
Generics, right?
Yeah, about generics, because before of that it was just a proposal, and in reality of Golang, the proposal means like it could be implemented someday in the not really nearest future, but for now it's live, so you can touch generics in Golang, and it's amazing. I would love to actually maybe do a session later on about this. New features because I'm really interested to touch it by myself as well. So would be good.
Perfect. I read this week one interesting thing that I actually heard about. I think 2 years ago. The thing is called JavaScript containers, but this time Ryan Dahl was writing a small blog post about it. Just posted in our chat, in YouTube chat. So that sounds. I mean, I don't know I didn't go really deep into that, but the idea sounds really good. And when I first heard it a couple of years before, I also thought that way, like, wow, that if that works, then that's a new generation basically of containers. And yeah, basically you can run software in a browser, and if you generalize it in a containers way, like we now used to work with Docker, that would be, I think, amazing.
Does it use WebAssembly? The code.
That's right. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it is nice indeed. All right, our stuff then. Yeah, so welcome again to Live Code Hour session by XTechnology. So today we continue with the topic of decomposing an application, monolith application written in NestJS into microservices. We preparing for a workshop that that we're gonna run actually next week, if everything goes well. So stay tuned and subscribe to our workshop that we're gonna announce soon. Yeah, and the idea of this project is to understand better architectural patterns you can go with with decomposing one monolith application into microservices. And yeah, it's very ambitious. We know that already. And yeah, right now we focusing on more on like how we can move the in some particular state, like we NestJS banking application found this GitHub repo, and basically we going through it, we trying to make it sustainable. Like last session, for example, we started a writing test because we understand it as a well, the application should be testable, right? If we want to evolve it further, then we want also to be sure that it still works. And our first step in there was to write some tests and see if they're passing, and then we can slowly iterate the application into microservices way. So our goal for today would be, I guess, to check if we have tests, maybe to see if we can extend these tests a little bit. And then ideally, we would introduce one microservice from this decomposed application. So why don't we start with overviewing the ecosystem we have for tests so far? Yeah, Andrew, thanks. I already see this screen. Currency spec.ts, is that what we introduced last time?
Yeah. Yes. So basically, yeah, what we have Jest installed, and we also started last time we started doing integration test for currency part of this monolith. And just yeah, I will update what I've done over the week and what prevent me writing this test on the previous session. What was the issue basically? So one of the issues, if you go to the currency, basically we gonna have a look on this folder structure. We have a Nest application, and we have modules inside the SRC folder, and all these modules basically the possible things which we could decompose. We can decompose them by combining a few modules in one, or we can just touch one module as a service overall. So yeah, our idea was to take this currency thing and detach it from the monolith as a third thing.
One small thing, maybe a question or to add. So the REST folders here, we see common, decorators, exceptions, filters, guards, and then so on. This is basically general functionality inside the application, right? Cross-cutting functionality, like that
right.
potentially is used inside the modules, but the main business logic is inside these modules folders.
Yeah. So yeah,
right.
this is a kind of a wrappers required by NestJS framework. You can do this, you can do, but yeah, the modules is something like describing
the crucial
logic.
part of business logic indeed. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, one of the things that I had to do it was a relation, unnecessary relation inside the currency. So currency was referring to bill entity, and also it was referring to user config entity. Why is it unnecessary? Because if you imagine what currency is, it's just let's basically have a look what currency is. So if we go to our application and try to understand why doesn't it work first, let's start it up. Okay, I have another service running. Let me stop it. Okay, that should be working now because my port was already dedicated for another Postgres instance. Okay, now it's running. Let's go here and see. Again, again, this problem with history, as Alex described last time. I think after that
you to that shell, yeah.
After that, we created dedicated file police, how to, and now we have this command finally. Let's try to run it. Okay, we are inside the database, and we finally want to see what currency is. currency table. Yeah, so this table consists of ID, UID. No idea why really we required to have two IDs, but yeah.
Can it be like one is internal ID, right? Just just for internal usage, let's say, and UUID is something that you can request from external world, like when you say like I don't know currency slash and then this UUID. I think this pattern is it's related to security. Like you don't want to basically have I mean it's not specifically for currency security related, but it's main best practice, I think, like for all the entities you have UUIDs, I think.
I mean, overall I do understand why do they need these basically the main idea to not expose the real amount of data we have. So we use incremental ID, so any user can touch this and see how many, for example, users do we have in the database.
Exactly.
And
even move forward to the next one, for example, if you have one.
And UUID, we really are unable to predict what will be the next value in the database. But yeah, my question was actually about why do we need to store them both? Because I mean, usually I just create ID. I mean, the column called ID, but inside it contains UUID after generated as currently here. So that's completely fine. So we use type ORM, which allows to do that. And yeah, basically the thing I don't understand, why do we need to store two generated things inside one table? But yeah, it's maybe the question not for us for now.
Okay.
From the API, only UUID is exposed. So ID is something you cannot really see. What is this? We also have a name of the currency. I think it should be 3-digit or 3-character code. Like, yeah, let's try to select. Let's see. So yeah, for now we have just like two currencies, GBP and USD. And we use GBP as a base currency, so the conversion rate is 1-to-1. And the conversion rate to GBP is this 0.834.
You were saying like, why do we need bills and another?
Let me go back to that entity so we can see. So here we have, from my understanding, currency which should be fully independent from anything, and we also had some, relation created for the type ORM. Maybe that's needed somewhere, but there is still another way. So what does it mean? Why? So even I commented this, it doesn't mean that bill entity, lose this connection to currency. No, that's still there. So if we go to bill entities and here, so you see here we still have a currency connection. It's connected as expected, but we don't have the opposite connection from the currency side. So this part basically allowed me to remove anything related to other services, basically.
Do we know services. That from currency model we for sure don't use this connection to build entities?
Yeah, I've been doing search, I think.
Yeah.
So we have a build module.
Yeah.
And as you can see, basically when I untouched this part with a currency entity, I was able to go to the let me see, go to entity currency, not here, index, basically index file of the model. basically the file which describes the model of currency. And there was references to those modules, basically reference to user model, transaction model, and bill model. But in real, we don't need them in the currency. We don't even, accept the entity, we don't use them. So I can easily just remove this. And
okay. So we're already modifying the original code. I mean, I think first we didn't want to do that, but what we discussed during this week with Andrew is that, okay, if we want to move forward basically and split in the application into modules, we will still have to overcome somehow the problem with the dependencies. And one of the ways is basically to find functionality that we can separate from direct dependencies and then move it to another service. And then we thought, okay, we will find some, for example, some part of this model, currency model, and move it to microservices. But this approach is even we decide that okay, we don't even need this connection at all in the application, and that would make our life basically much easier when we move forward with the microservice.
Yeah, right. And yeah, let's go and have another look into this. Into this test. So basically, I was going in the two ways with this modular stuff. So first way, I created this file. We created. And then one of the way was to mock this dependency, like mock replace basically with some fake model. So we basically say to the application that instead of real user model, transaction model, and bill model, which we don't want to use at all, we just give it some, specific things instead of, which basically like an empty implementation of model. But for now, I think as we already removed it in here and here, we don't have this dependency anymore, so we can easily even remove this.
Okay.
So let's try first to see if this test still works.
Yeah, and our test is a sort of integration test. It basically involves. Actually, it's a part of it's a service test basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, in my understanding, it's E2E test when we test, final service. So we have a specification as we described, as we found out earlier. So we have a Swagger file, and during this Swagger file, we have a description how, what parameters could be provided to this service, to this road, what response code should be provided back, and so on. So our idea to test this functionality, test this API, and then we will move this functionality to a separate service. And the idea that this functionality should still work as expected.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we have just a very simple thing: get currencies here. First of all, we connect to the database, and here's a description of the connection. So in before all, we create a test module, and we also describe that it should consist a currency module, which we have in here, and also it should consist type-ORM module, which is a connection to our database, our local database.
And for tests, we also have a database running.
Yeah, we have to. So we have one of the interesting things I have here. I have a synchronize option
property.
Option described here. Property, which means basically when this model is initialized, it will first synchronize all our entities to the database. So that means it automatically creates all the tables, empty tables, but with all actual structure we have inside our code.
Nice,
Yeah, that
nice,
was
nice. It's a part of
one.
a type ORM module functionality then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then there is an extra method, create nest application from the module, and then we have an application, and then that application could be called with some specific roles. You see, and we also export from this module currency repository. So currency repository, it's a way to operate with a currency table. Also, after every test we just do, before every test we just do delete from currency. So we clean up the table, and then we just have a test. So first of all, we insert some currencies there with some specific values.
And we perform one request to a working service. Basically, we say, yeah, I want to get currencies, and then we check that the result of this request is actually containing these currency entities.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, here we use request, and request is a super test module. And
is it a dependency of Angular? Oh, sorry, NestJS itself? Yeah, Angular. No, it's a separate. I see. Wow.
Yeah. It's really nice tool for writing tests for the things like Express applications.
I never saw super test before, to be honest. You use it?
Really? Yeah, I use it a lot. Yeah, nice. Okay, nice. Yeah, every time getting something new. And I think here, get HTTP server should be returning you an application. It says any, but I guess it should be something very specific. In our case, it should be Express application, which is defined inside the Nest as one of the ways to provide this functionality. And then we just call currencies, get currencies. We set some, the way we want to get it. We expect content type JSON, expect 200 as a response code. And then we also receive a body. So from the body, we have two things. We have data, which part of the functionality which should be described in Swagger. We have data and meta. So meta is information about the pagination and stuff like that, and the data is real data provided by the service itself. And then, yeah, after all, we just stop and close the application, so test can finally be finished. So let's try it now, and then I will. Then I want to comment some parts of this test as well and check it if it's still working or not. Takes a lot of time. Yeah, so it's done. If we scroll, if I open this a bit wider and see what happens. So this is basically the information provided by Jest. So we tried to do get currencies, and we have one test passing.
Nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound exciting, but it took us some time also to figure it out how that all works in NestJS environment. So yeah, that's cool result so far. And I heard that you also already provided the CI configuration for that. Is that true?
Yeah. Just let me just try to do the things I wanted to do first. So this part, as I said, it was necessary when we had a dependency, right? But for now, we can just comment it out and leave it for later, maybe, and just wanted to make sure that test still works after that. It takes some time. Yeah, I think it worked. Yeah, still passes. Let's have a look. Yeah, basically we have a GitHub repo, and
I wanted to adjust something in our GitHub repo, by the way. Do we need this client part? Shall we maybe get rid of that so far? Because we not really using, we don't plan to use it. I think we should have cloned the other repo, the original one. But yeah, tell me.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it would be nice at some point when we already have this splitting and like
to demonstrate that it works with the UI even. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
yeah. I like your utopia. It sounds amazing. Okay.
Yeah, but in overall, I agree that we have some part which we don't really need here, which looks a bit weird. But anyway, let's leave it for now.
Yeah, checked.
Yeah, so what I've created as an extra, I've created a Github Workflows folder, and then I created a test server file. This specification tells to GitHub on every push or pull request to main repo, create a specific job on their side, and this job should run basically, should install this application and then perform the testing of it. And if it's if test succeeded, it will just return the success flag, and if it's not, it notifies you that something was broken there. Yeah, a bit of the things I was digging about. This is the default thing I specified here. This is a way to say that working directory I will be working during all this execution. It's a server. So basically here, we do something like that at the beginning in our code, kind of. Then another bit, we also need to create environment. So this environment, a way to say to our application where our database will be and what the credentials to connect to this database. For sure, this is not the perfect way to define the credentials like that. But as this is a test database which we create at the same time, at the same moment, I think that should be just fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I think too.
Yeah, it's not exposed anywhere. It just exists while we run in our test.
I'm mostly curious in the part how you start the database, where you get the basically running instance of a database. But maybe you will explain it in a minute.
Yeah. So let's go step by step. So now then we have a section called jobs. Basically, jobs, it's a number of commands or number of actions we want to perform during this execution. And the really brilliant and amazing thing about GitHub Actions compared to other CI/CD services that you can create your own action, as you can see here. So behind this action, there is I believe some bash code written, but here we just say, I want to use
reference to it.
Yeah, I want to use this action, and this action was getting cloned to our CI/CD and just executed.
But this is a public actions from some marketplace on GitHub. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a public marketplace, which GitHub provides as a first starting point, and they also provide, for example, this section by themselves. So they created this checkout action by themselves because this is the most popular thing to do. First of all, we need to check out our repo to our CI/CD and then start doing something on that.
Yeah,
But
that's interesting. I thought that that is a kind of implicitly done already by introducing them, by initiating the pipeline. But it's not. You always have to do that in GitHub. I
yeah,
actually
yeah,
never saw it, never saw it, and never focused on that part. Okay, nice. So
yeah,
basically, it means that you can have a pipeline that doesn't belong to your repository. You can do some, I don't know, a request to some external service, and that's the purpose of it, and without cloning your original repo.
that's correct. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, another and the main amazing thing I would say that when you create this GitHub action, so anybody could do this. Anybody could create on GitHub action, and maybe on some of our future sessions we could do this, go through this. I think it will be just enough for 1 hour session. Enough time to do that. But the main idea when you create this, you as a developer can register this GitHub action on the marketplace as well, and anybody else can do this. Could clone this action from their own pipeline and execute this the same steps.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in this technology because compared to the same GitLab or Bitbucket, they don't have anything like that. So every time you do something like this, you have to write your own code in your own repository and things like that. And then you cannot just create this code once, publish it, and then in all your next applications, you can just use it, which is really brilliant, I think. Yeah, but
Microsoft Azure has the same structure, I must say.
oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I think they are both connected in some way. Maybe different teams work on that, but it's still Microsoft ownership, I think.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Right. But do you remember what appeared first? Where it's appeared first, in GitHub or Microsoft, maybe? Maybe you know the history.
Yeah, I don't know the concrete date. I thought my thought is that they first appeared in Microsoft Azure, and then they bought GitHub, I think, and then they started the GitHub CI/CD there. Yeah, that's my understanding of timeline, but I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So the main idea that you can just reuse these actions from somewhere, and it's open sourced, as we all like open source. If you don't use action, you can run your own command. So you can use the run command and basically describe what exactly you want to do here.
Andrew, can I ask some side question on this CI/CD? Basically, the question that I have is not related to the topic that we discussed, but still it's bother me a little.
Okay.
So what I saw in systems like Heroku and like when you need really deployment to configure your deployment. So okay, you can introduce it in a pipeline, like you write in this YAML file right now. But the other way that is also very popular right now, I think, is when you actually go to Heroku, create your account there, and then click it through and specify GitHub there. But that ends up like from configuring your pipeline, but basically from the other side, it's attaching to the hook, to GitHub hooks or maybe some other system hooks, and then on every commit, it does pull some changes. It does understand some configuration that is available in Heroku, let's say, and then it clones and builds and do the stuff. Do you understand the difference, but basically, and how you explain the difference for yourself between these two flows?
Yeah, so I can describe this on my own example, but this is quite similar to Heroku. I created a blog of my own, which is written on Gatsby.js and NestJS. And first of all, when I read an article how I can deploy it somewhere, after some tries, I picked up the service called Vercel, which one of the...
So from Vue authors, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Maybe. I think before that it was called Now, but then they rebranded this. They got investment, huge investment from some VCs, and then rebranded it, and then I think they started making money. Now, yeah, but the main idea of this service is like that they provide you free functionality for hosting your static web files, as well as also providing a functionality to execution to some backend execution. Yeah, and when there is two ways to set up your project. I mean, the way is the only way. You have to go on their site, as you said, you have to create a new project, you have to specify the repo, and you have to specify all the stuff, what kind of project and all stuff. And from my understanding, what they do, they just issue a token on your behalf. They connect to GitHub API, and they pretty much have this kind of pipeline described on their side, which you don't even see. But they just using API to connect, to clone, as you said, to do some action and then to publish. And I did that, but then I realized that a part of just publishing my website to Vercel, I wanted to do an extra step. I wanted to do the following: if I created a new article inside my blog, I wanted also to send a tweet in my Twitter saying that this is the URL of my new article, and this tweet should be tweeted automatically. Another example, I've created an action, GitHub action, for making a copy to Medium. So my new blog article taken as it is, and then it sends to the Medium through their API, and new article on Medium on my behalf appears there as well.
Okay.
So that two things I wanted to insert in standard theme of Vercel.
Simple. Yeah.
Simple, yeah. They didn't allow me to do that because all this pipeline was written on their side. So that was the moment when then I had to say to Vercel, I don't want you to to do anything when any push created. And then I switched to GitHub Actions, and from the GitHub side, I also issued a token for Vercel. And then I just push to Vercel. This is the time to publish this website. This is the files. There are files already created. And now it happens, the same flow happens, but on the other side, on GitHub side, I can do whatever I want, plus do the Vercel part. On the Vercel part, I can do this simple, but without any extension. That's the main difference, I guess.
And for maybe I missed that, for using the Vercel, you use some kind of plugin or action, so something in a GitHub system that basically can use a Vercel API and perform actions on top of that. Okay.
Yeah, basically Vercel and other services, I think Heroku, they built micro tools for deploy, for building, and they just publish them in this marketplace. You can easily go there on this marketplace and type Vercel. It will appear. It will have all the description, what you need to do to set up this tool and just make it work. Very
thanks for that story. It's basically, if we can try to conclude that, I guess the CI/CD system from GitHub or Azure or GitLab, maybe it's more generic one. So it's like many things. It's based on how you configure your pipeline, and then on a Heroku or a Vercel service, it can run build for you, but on on some, let's say, limited set of what it can do. So it doesn't allow you, it doesn't allow many flexibility. Let's say that's the main difference between these two flows, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Completely what it does.
Okay, it was a little bit outside the discussion, but yeah, that what I had in mind last week, and I wanted to clarify, and I think it makes sense still. All right, let's go on with our pipeline.
Yeah. So yeah, just you can read these steps like a poem if you want. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
Tell
the
me a
basically.
poem.
Yeah. Here's the basically the things like we need to check out the repo. Then we need to install the Node.js, and then basically the human description, we need to set up yarn, install dependencies. This is like an extra step we could miss basically if we just prefer to use npm, but I prefer to use yarn in this situation. But yeah, so we install yarn, and then this magic question, what you asked it about the database, we start containers. So we start our Docker Compose, and if we just go back to our Docker Compose and see what's inside, we have our Postgre of this version. We also publish this port, and here's the environment, pretty much for the database, how it should be initialized. And then on this side, on another side, going back, we will also provide the same description, the same values to our application, so our application could connect to this.
Yeah.
And this could be removed. I was just debugging. And then we just run yarn test, basically pretty much the same as we do here locally. And as a final step, it says if always. That means
if it fails or if it proceeds.
So basically the idea of this pipeline is the following: is any of these steps returns exit code not equals 0, which basically exit code 0 means success for the program, success execution of the program. If it returns something else not equals to 0, all the next commands will be skipped. They won't be executed except the ones which has this specification if always. That means basically execute this every time, whatever happens before. So here, yeah, this is pretty much it. We at the end point we just do Docker compose down, and let's see what happens here.
Yeah, it kills the containers, I guess. All the running containers related to Docker Compose file. Makes sense to me. Question on a Docker Compose, if you open that guy, so it has an image specified, and the image, I guess, can be picked up from public Docker hub. Do we have resources enough on a pipeline to start up these containers? Are we reaching a limit? Do we know about some limitation on the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the current limitation, but the ones I've heard before, it was 200 minutes a month. Not sure about amount of memory and CPU. I don't think it's, I mean, it's limited, but should be like something like 4 CPU maybe, 4 GB memory, but I'm not sure. This is something to investigate. But these 200 minutes should be this 200 minutes for the organization. But if you're running something not on the regular basis, it should be enough for your testing. so you don't need to buy extra. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that. Okay, so show us a pipeline on GitHub, I guess.
Yes, so let me switch mine. Switch my sharing screen. Share another window, which is
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's find our repo, this one. So as you can see, this file appeared here, and from the moment it's appeared here, we also started to see this actions part. If we click here, you can see that this is all the execution we've had so far. Like first of them was failing, and then was finally succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
We can, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see that every build took around 2 minutes. So basically, if we calculate that, it's gonna be 100 builds per month or something like that.
Yeah. And it's what you do inside your execution. For example, at work, we have some pipelines which takes 20 or 30 minutes, which is a lot. And in these circumstances, it's not possible to use
Yeah.
3 minutes. I mean, it's possible, but it will get over very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and if we go to the pipeline, you can see the job sections, which is called Docker. If we go to the job section, we can see all these steps executed, and we also can open any of them and see the logs. The logs what was produced, and this is a section I just removed. It's called env. It was about just printing out the environment and see what we have inside, which kind of exposing maybe something. But GitHub also allows you to create a secret. So basically, if you go here in settings, you can go to the actions in general. Oh no, it's a security secret. So if we go to actions, we can create something. Let's create. If we still have time, Alex, I'm not sure.
No. It's. I think we can proceed basically with our next goal.
Okay.
But yeah, that's thanks for these things. I just got an idea actually on a test that we have written so far. Stay with me. Like if we so currently we're testing the currency service, and basically our test is okay. We run in an application, and then we do just a call to currency's endpoint, and that returns some JSON. If we split our application into microservice, we split a currency microservice. What's gonna be the test? And I think this test will not show us that the application overall working. We should do more integration stuff, I think, or not.
Yeah. So basically, what we could do. Let me just. If we finish with this, we can go back to test to the code. Let me switch it back. And I will see. Switch. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my idea was the following: if, for example, we start separation, yeah. Let's say we create a we create a new folder here. We create a folder. What folder you want to call it? Node.js maybe. No.
It's all about Node.js. 1 second. So you wanna already start introducing the stuff. Then we decided that we wanna actually make the monorepo, right, with our services. Is that what we?
But I mean, we could start this just in a separate folder, so we don't mix all the things together.
Yeah. Maybe microservices would be a good one. So we wanna, or packages. If we go with a monorepo structure, then it should be packages, and then we have a server more like a monolith. Is it probably can be also moved to services. Oh, to packages. Sorry.
But this is the latest stage, I think. Let's just create a whatever, like new file or no file.
But you want to already start with the with a monorepo approach. Like then we should do some. We should actually use some tool for that, I guess. Like to.
I mean, I will just start in with creation folders. So just to imagine a bit more parts. So here we will have a service. Let's call it.
Currency is fine. Yeah, I like it.
Currency name. gRPC, and then I create another folder called currency. Just to understand that the service will be gRPC one. So we have a gRPC service called currency, and then what we're gonna do in this monolith stuff. We also have a model called currency, right? So our goal to basically untouch this model completely and move it here. But I mean, by untouching, I mean move the functionality of this model into the gRPC currency, so we can use this functionality. But also because this currency model, what it provides controllers, and the controllers is a part basically describing our REST API. So from my understanding, we should keep the currency module in here. We should keep controller part in here. But here, instead of get currencies, we're gonna return whatever new service, like
gRPC service,
new gRPC currency, get currencies.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So we comment here, we leave it as that, we export this service, not the service, but they export the client for the service. So this is an interesting part about gRPC. I think Alex can briefly explain a bit more about
gRPC. It's a remote procedure calls framework that we've been discussing since start of this year. Exactly. It does some HTTP2 call under the hood. I like the idea. I like the idea to keep basically the endpoints in the main application. I think it basically makes our main application more like a web part of that, a web front end of that, and then we basically move all the background services to packages to microservices part. I think that would be relatively easy to do, to be honest, even with the Nest infrastructure. So
I mean, this would be the first part, I guess, the first part of the move. But as you remember, I also was showing that, for example,
because our application, our application in the end, we shouldn't care, and our users should not care about where it runs, and we don't want to basically have multiple services just providing these endpoints, and that will end up either in a different rerouting on a Kubernetes, but our users should not care about endpoints allocated. And I think we can, monorepo is still dedicated to web part, so it will contain endpoints, but the services will be somewhere else. I think that it's a nice approach, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing to mention, what we also should do, we shouldn't touch here currency entity, as starting from now, our idea to separate this database, currency database in a separated database. So we don't have anymore this currency entity, and therefore we need to go through these build services as well and see where this currency entity was used. And we also need to create extra functionality inside the currency service, which allows us to pull this currency, basically ID or whatever this was used for. I think here it was saved UUID. So we also need to provide this functionality to just
that's
put
an
here
interesting
the
question.
UUID.
That's an interesting step, next step. Basically, you know this entity repository terminology, where it goes from? Do you know anything about it? Have you? I guess
really.
you heard about it. It's a DDD set patterns.
Okay.
So we have entities in living in the main part. We have repositories that I will describe it actually next week. I think the theory, but in short, like inside of the domain, because the domain driven design is about the domain. I think it's the core of that. In a domain, you can have entities which are models, but they sustain state of the objects. Like okay, the entity is actually a model class. It has some properties that define its state, and the state can change. And this set of entities define your domain logic. That's one. A repository, on the other hand, is something that keeps binds these to persistent storage. So a repository is basically in this DDD format is responsible for sustaining data in some storage. We have some other objects, some other terms in DDD, but I think just here we see entities and repositories. So why I interrupted you actually is I think we will still need entities inside our main application, inside our web part, but we can get rid of repositories on the other hand. I think that's my understanding right now.
That's an interesting part. We could keep, I mean, there is two ways basically. We could keep the same entity, but then we just have the duplication of both on both sides. And you actually
when you say the same entity and duplication, you mean just code-wise, just to have a class defined, basically. Yeah.
And this this actually could be a problem because imagine later you go and change your entity in the microservice, right? And from the other side, you also need to replace this inside your monolith, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think this is like an extra?
I have something to already reply to that. So guys from DDD, they of course thought that could happen. There is another term in DDD for that part. It's bounded context. Basically, it means that every service that you separate, like we are mixing now terminology. Microservices is one thing, DDD is the other thing, but I think they are really nicely collide actually to each other. So in a DDD, you have these domains, and theoretically, the two domains can have let's say entities that are named the same. They are still different, but inside this domain, their meaning is different. Basically, is in one side, let's say you have customers, and the customers have accounts. I don't know, the phone number whatsoever. On the other side, in the other domain, your customers can be just of a customer, and what you want from the name, and you want to track basically who came in and how you gave a service to this customer. So that it is possible to have two different classes, they should map to each other if you want that this customer derives from that customer. You need to map them, but it should still happen on it can still happen in this model. That's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say is that, okay, we have this currency entity in both applications. First, we can share a type class. It's not a problem, and I think the idea would be the same as with the gRPC. You basically share the protocol between your services, and then you have to reuse it.
Yeah, but with gRPC, it's a bit, I think, easier, because you have one source of truth, and you just you don't really create this entity class. You just generate it from the source of truth, which is a proto file. And here, as you said, it could be completely different. I mean, from one side, from service side, microservice side, we need the full entity. From the other side, we need just few bits what really used.
I'm looking at the screen that you have that you open this file build entity, and what should not be in this type class if we share it across our applications is a relation to database indeed, but the rest is I don't think it would be a problem. Like if your entity having these properties, having this state to change, then we can share it pretty much easily in a way like it's in gRPC. Even without generating the code, you just be reusing this type across the services in my picture.
But also imagine a situation that having this entity and the database at the same part, at the monolith part, you basically using repository, you basically are able to do joins and do some extra magic on the database part. And starting from this moment, you are not able to, because this will be like completely, you need to keep in mind that this is really a network call to another thing, which is an extra job, extra complexity. So it's just not
it will not
as simple as just using database.
And there's gonna be implementation of this interface of this entity thingy, I guess.
But from the other side, we also have a why do we need these? Why do we need to split? Why? What's the reason to do that?
Why there is? because we want to have our application pretty much scalable. We want to have a separate team who's taking care about the currencies feature, and they want to release it as soon as they deliver a new functionality without any intersection with our releasing flow of the other part of applications.
That's a good point. As we consider in a banking application, we can imagine that it could be like 200 developers working on this application, on this monolith application, and at some part we just decided to split this team and bind some context to some specific team, so they know what part they're working on. They can write tests for it, they can release it, as Alex said, and be really free on this part. Nice.
Yeah, I think it's going somewhere. However, we haven't finished the microservice yet, but I think we did a good progress. I would say that's we should conclude our session for today. Maybe I don't know if we haven't agreed on that with Andrew, but maybe we will have an additional session in intermediate day in the week. We maybe even introduce a new format for that, not like a code hour, but I don't know, a night code or something like that. Let's see.
5 a.m.
Because we want to continue on that topic, and but for the next week we will try to prepare more more finished part, I think, of this workshop, including theory and also this project configuration. At least that's our goal. So that's it, I think, for today.
Yeah, nice. A lot
Thanks,
of
Andrew.
theory, a lot of speaking, less coding, but really, I mean, there is something we need to agree and to understand about microservices first, I think, before moving and jumping into this
I
sea,
agree.
the ocean of.
All right, then. Have a good weekend, everyone, and take care.
Yeah, see ya.
See you. Bye-bye.